#1 in the Ozarks. This is KY3 News at 5.
Jerry, Lisa, we do want to start with an update on the tragedy that we've been reporting on since yesterday. We can now tell you that authorities have decided to scale back the search for the mother of the 4-year-old boy whose body was discovered in the floodwaters early yesterday morning. Of course, that search continued yesterday as well as today. Authorities now saying they are scaling it back. At this point, it is a recovery and they are looking for her body. At that time, they say when they find her, that is when they'll release the identity of both the mother and child. They did find the mother's car earlier today, but they are yet to find the mother. This is the Ruby Doo, once again, where we started out our coverage last night, the overflow, I should say, of the Ruby Doo, where now it's just a bunch of muddy flood water starting to recede, and it's receding rather quickly. We've been watching it throughout the day. You'll remember just last night we were showing you this recreational complex. I was at least explaining that that's what it normally is. Last night, of course, it looked more like a giant lake. Well, you can see now the water has receded quite a bit here in the Ruby Doo Park area and is getting lower and lower as we go on through the day. Even over the last couple hours, it's come down quite a bit. Today was the first day that people here in the Waynesville area were able to go back inside their homes and see the destruction that was left behind. We can now tell you 30 homes are considered destroyed, as well as several businesses. Dozens more homes and businesses were badly damaged in this flood that no one expected in the Waynesville area. Tonight, the National Guard is on the ground and they are helping with the recovery efforts. KY3's Linda Russell has more on the cleanup. And last night, thanks to another round of heavy rain, even more areas that are typically not prone to flood in Phelps County, as well as Pulaski County and Marys County, dealt with flooding very early this morning, including the small town of Newberg. That's just outside Rolla, if you're familiar with that area. The main street in Newberg, which is a historic main street, faced very significant flooding this morning around 4 a.m. Police in the small town of Newberg, as well as volunteer firefighters, started going door to door trying to get people out of their homes at 4 a.m. as that water started to enter their homes. There is a creek that flows through that main area in Newberg, and it was that creek that started overflowing. About 20 homes were affected, as well as many more businesses. Now, that was a case of flash flooding, and the water there did recede very quickly. According to the Phelps County Sheriff, it started going back down later in the morning, and later today people were able to get back inside their homes and see just how extensive the damage was there, and they have started the cleanup in Newberg. Now, the creek that overflowed in Newberg is a creek that feeds into the Big Piney. The Big Piney, of course, is what flooded onto Interstate 44 today, shutting parts of it down and creating quite the unexpected problems for travelers, especially those traveling through the state who were not familiar with the situation that's happening here, creating a lot of problems for those drivers. KY3's Ashley Reynolds shows us how traffic was backed up for many miles. We were right in that line of vehicles backed up for many miles outside Waynesville, heading back toward Springfield. Now, even if you are from this area and you're familiar with the roads like I am, being from Pulaski County, it doesn't make it any easier to try to get around in this type of situation. And that's because the flooding, of course, is not limited to the interstate. There are also highways, as well as many side roads that are washed out, bridges that are closed, and of course MoDOT tries to keep us updated on those, but they are closing hour by hour, many of them in Phelps, Marys, and Pulaski County, including the Veterans Memorial Bridge on Highway 28. That's just outside Dixon, where MoDOT turned us around, as well as dozens of others.
I got here yesterday, and I knew I couldn't make it in yesterday. They had everything closed, so we thought we'd make a try at it today. So we're trying every angle we can get into to get to Dixon. My dad's down there in the rest home.
And we were trying to get to Jerome when we came upon that closure. We were taking really the long way around 28 over to Highway D, trying to get in to see the situation in Jerome. Unfortunately, we couldn't make it there today due to that closure. But what I can tell you is, unfortunately, the situation in Jerome has been worsening due to that heavy rainfall overnight. They were originally expecting the river there, the Gasconade, to crest at 27 or 28 feet. Well, that didn't happen. And as the rain continues to come down, the river continues to rise. They started evacuations yesterday morning. You'll remember about 6 o'clock in the morning. People loaded up their belongings as fast as they could onto trucks and trailers, moving them to an area they thought would be out of reach. It typically is, but the water rose so quickly last night that it overtook all of their things. Those trucks and trailers, we understand, according to the sheriff, were overtaken by the floodwaters. And right now that water is also very close to the second story of many of the homes there, the second story where many people had moved their belongings. Now it is expected to crest at 33 or 34 feet, and those houses are already starting to flood. There were even more evacuations in Jerome today in areas that typically do not flood, but again, the river there is yet to crest. Back here in Waynesville, the cleanup, of course, continues tonight. It will take some time. KY3's Destin Hodges shows us how the families are coping. We want to give you another look at the Ruby-Doo, where it has overflowed now into what is called the Ruby-Doo Park here. We're just on the other side of the historic courthouse building as well as the old school. If you're familiar with this area in Waynesville, the water still receding. We expect it to continue to go down. That is, unless, of course, another round of rain comes, which is a very real possibility. Something I do want to share with you, we're showing you as much as we can, but as a news crew, we are in vehicles just like you are, and there are so many areas that we are unable to reach. We understand from a lot of the authorities here locally in Phelps County as well as Pulaski and Marys County that there are towns that are cut off right now, entire communities where people are sort of stranded on a hilltop or on the other side of a low water crossing, and they could be that way for another couple days, especially if the rain keeps coming down. So just a difficult situation here. Like we've mentioned before, many of the areas that have never flooded before are flooding now. We'll continue to keep you updated from Waynesville and Pulaski County as well as the surrounding area as cleanup efforts here continue. Reporting live in Waynesville, Emily Wood, KY3 News.